How does a hula hoop seem to climb up and down someone's body like magic? In this step-by-step tutorial hula hooping guide for beginners alike, we are going to learn how to do the escalator, how to do all different versions like the reverse escalator, the breaks and fakes escalators, the elbow escalator, all different kinds, behind the back escalator. Got lots of awesome different versions of doing this escalator here for you to learn. I'm also going to share with you some common mistakes to avoid to help you get a better sense of how to do them. And we're also going to go through different variations to level up your flow and get you feeling confident while doing these escalators. Diving right into the first escalator, the main one, going from the down up. So you're going to start in this position, your foot, whichever point you are starting on. And I always recommend when learning new tricks that you learn and try with both sides. So whichever side you are starting out with, you're going to have the hoop right on the bottom of the floor, standing right up. You're going to have whichever side it's on, that foot is forward, up, and over. That way you can put it behind and you're like straddling, the inside of the hip. So from this point of view, it's going to look like this. It's on this side, standing straight up, and over. So the next thing you're going to do once you're in the starting position, what you're going to do with this hand that's holding it is you're going to obviously you're going to move this leg out of the way. So when you're starting off, you can actually start off with your leg crossed over like that, so it's just not in the way at all. Or you could just lift it up as it comes up like that, just to get it out of the way. And so what you're doing with this hand is that you're going to be like smacking this side of your hip, the opposite side hip. You're going to really want to push it towards, your hip this way. If you're standing this way, it's going to look like that. So you're really going to want to push it towards your hip so it can come up and over. And so you really got to get the power down too. You want to make sure that you are, I know it's a little scary at first, but it's all about control. You're not going to like fling it across yourself because then you'll lose control doing that, but you can't be soft with it either or it won't go up at all. So it'll kind of just, come over your shoulders, hit you in the face. That's where those kind of mistakes come into play. So you got to make sure that you're putting enough power into it without really flinging it where it flies off and, over your head like that. So make sure you are giving it enough power and you are this side of your hip with it as you are raising this leg. And then, so to kind of know where you're going to position, after you fling it to your hip, you're going to want to quickly move your hand up, to be able to catch it. And so you got to know where, to position your hand. This is like the hardest part for me when learning the escalator was putting my hand in the right spot. So to kind of help with that, you're going to want to do this. So where, you know where it's going to be at this side of your body. And then you're going to, work it up around your back this way, that way, kind of catch it here. And then guide it up to where it's going to go like that so you can see where you're going to catch it. Catch it here, guide it up. That way because depending on your hula hoop size, you're going to have your arms in different things too. So make sure you practice and try with different hula hoops that you're going to be using as well, because that's going to be a different position of where you're putting your arm. So figure out where that catchy grab spot is. That way you can kind of, get that muscle memory down for it. And so once you got that down, then, practice is on the way at that point. Just got to keep Keep doing it until you get it. So keep working on that. Once you master that, we'll move to the next flow version of it. Now we're going to get into the reverse escalators and different versions of doing that. So my favorite version, well, so let's start out with the simplified version. So the downward escalator, when you first come around, you're going to want to kind of swing it around so you have that momentum. You're swinging it around, letting it hinge in your hands, to kind of come full circle around. And so as you're doing that, where you're going to want to position the bottom part of your hoop is coming around your neck this way. And so when you do that, you kind of just guide it down. Depending on your hoop size is going to be how fluent this one kind of looks. That's why I don't really use this one, but when you're first starting out, it's good to know. So from the back point of view, when you come around, that's how that's going to look. And so now for my favorite version of doing this, where it looks a lot more fluid and pretty, especially if you're using like a 5/8 hoop like this or a smaller hoop, it's going to look a little bit more fluid. And so what you're going to do for this one is you're going to do that swing around, but instead of coming, on this side of your head, you're going to let it do one full wrap around on your arm. Once it gets completely to where, it won't move anymore, that's when you let go from the hand that you're holding it in, and then it's going to come all the way around like that and come all the way down. So how that's going to look full swing. Very easy, very pretty to look for doing hoop tricks as well. It's a very pretty trick just because of how fluid it is whenever you let it do that full wraparound and down your body. So that is the reverse escalator. And so another version of doing the reverse escalator is doing the behind the back toss into the reverse escalator. So what that looks like. From the back view, what that would look like. So how you're going to do that is when you start off with, you're going to want to be in the position of tossing it behind your back this way. So when you move your arm, you're going to be doing this. You're going to end up like this. Whenever you get it over here, that's where you let go. You're literally tossing it behind the back, and you do have to worry about how you're controlling it, because if you toss it too hard, it's going to move too fast before you can catch it. If you toss it too lightly, it's not going to really get to the position that you want. So you have to make sure and test, your tossing power, whether, you do that, a few times until you get the hang of how it feels. And then you can even do that right there. What I just did is catch it. Catch it in midair. That way you can start getting that feeling of how it feels when you toss it behind your back like that. So what you're doing with your arm movement at this point, so whenever you're flinging it up, tossing it behind your back, your arm is going to be positioned in the front of your hoop. When it comes up, you're moving your arm this way. As you're tossing it this way, your arm's coming this way. And when it comes up, your arm is going to make it do like a kind of flip and rotation. And so if you see, it kind of flips, like this way, as your arm is kind of causing it to do that flip, and then it makes it continue that motion and come all the way around. As your arm's over here, you're moving your arm in the upward position to get it to guide when it comes around on your body it's going to come around your body this way and then guide down, you know, as in reverse escalator. So it might seem intimidating, you know, to do. It might look hard, but it is very quite beginner friendly to learn. I did learn this early on. So even if you don't get it right away, though, keep practicing, because it's like, it might look hard. It's like one of those that looks harder than it is, you know, kind of thing. So you really just got to try it, you know, from the back point of view. You do it, causing it to do that flip and come all around. You know, and like I said, practice on both sides too. Get it to do that flip around and then guiding it around your body. You know, so what your arm's pretty much doing is this. Once it makes contact over here, you're raising it up high to get it to guide around your body. So you got to practice that motion with this arm as you're doing that with that. So that is the arm behind the back arm toss reverse escalator. So now let's get into the spin reverse escalator. So what that's going to look like. Like that. You're just rotating as the hoop's coming down your body. Again, another beginner kind of vibe, but looking real cool. So from the back point of view, just like that. You're doing a half spin pretty much when you do that. So you're over here, hi. So whenever you do that reverse, you're getting it to come around. As soon as you let go of the hoop, you're going to rotate your body in the opposite way and make sure you do that full spin around. And so you got to be careful with your foot too, because what I used to do is kind of do like a little hop and bounce and jump until I really got the hang of like spinning on one foot with my leg going over it. So start spinning, and then you got to catch it too with this hand as you're rotating to put your leg over it. So it's going to be spinning like this, spinning on one leg and getting your leg over it like that. So again, that's what the jump, and then without the jump, you're just kind of spinning. So once you get really, you know, used to that reverse escalator on its own, then you can start incorporating that spin, and it really looks more fun and flowy, like you're really having a good time with it, and it gives it a different version and alternative to do with it. And so another version of the escalators is kind of doing, you can call it the fake escalator, you can call it the break escalator, you know, whatever you personally feel like calling it. I don't really know what the official term for it is, because I like to call it the fake or the break. And so what that looks like is once it gets to this part, you're just pushing it back down with your hand. Grab it with this hand to kind of guide it, and then pushing it back down with this hand. And then wherever you want to do that break or fake is up to you, wherever you're most comfortable. You could do it real low, or you could do it up high. You know, whatever your flow is flowing, you know, whichever way with you, you can do it in all sorts of spots, you know, to make it look different. And so that's the fake, you know, and again, you know, same as doing the thing, flip your, or smack your hand against your hip, and then move it up, and instead of catching it, you're just hitting it back down. And then you're also grabbing it with this hand too to kind of guide it, so it doesn't, you know, you can do it without grabbing it, but when you're first starting out, that's what I recommend. So that is the fakes and the breaks of the escalator world. Another kind of break and fake in the escalator world is the catch when you're at the top, catching it like here, swinging it around. You can do it on both ends. And so pretty much you're just doing a cat. What that's going to look like. And this is something that can literally be endless until you finally let it drop down. And so I really like it because it's like a little fast kind of break, boom, 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 boom. Kind of that makes sense. So what you're going to do is you're going into the reverse escalator that goes all the way around your arm. And right before, like right as you're letting it go from this arm, you're catching it right here. And so you're kind of just transferring grips, and then you're bringing it around this way, doing the same thing. Right as you're letting go, you're catching it from this way, because you want to let go first before you bring this around, because you're wanting to give it that extra pop, you know, behind your back. So if I just catch it there, it doesn't give that extra pop. But if I do a little, you know, let it come down, pop back up and around. So it gives it that kind of like break, when you're doing brakes and paddles kind of vibe, but with an escalator. And then you could do that endlessly till you finally just let it come down. So that is a fun kind of break and fake of the escalator world as well. Another version of doing the escalator is doing it, letting your elbow be the hinge and guide down your body, doing that. So what that looks like, you know, instead of like coming around this way, you're going to come around to the front of your body, let it contact your elbow, and then you're just moving your arm down to guide it, you know, down in that downward reversal, you know, escalator motion. And so what that looks like from the back side. So that's how that would look. And another quick kind of version, and instead of coming up and catching it with the same hand on this side, you can let it come off and come over and hinge over. I like to hinge it this way and over my body this way. From here, that can lead into different motions as far as, you know, grabbing it, you know, doing that behind the back toss one. Or a lot of versions, like what I like to do when I do that is when I hinge it in here, I grab it and I let this hoop do a complete circle and I jump through it and come back up. So that's kind of like a different version, what that would look like. Grab it, let it come up. So you'll see me doing that a lot in some videos. And also don't forget, I am a hula hooper maker. So I do make pretty hula hoops that are made with reflective, holographic, and UV reactive tapes. So let me know if any of that interests you as well. All that info is in the description. So I really hope that this tutorial has helped you rock and master those escalators with all these different versions that you can do, and incorporating it into your flow and leveling up. Let's go. So let me know if this has helped you at all. I do appreciate any and all feedback that comes through. Like the video as well if you liked it, and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. That way you can get more guides, tutorials, hula hooping fun, flow artsy, fun dancing things. So let me know if there's also any other tricks, like specifically that you would like a tutorial on. I am open to doing requests for specific tricks. So let me know down in the comments. If you have anything of interest that you would like to see, let me know if this has helped. Thank you so much for being here and watching. Have a great rest of your day, evening, night.